Hi, my name is Zalman Ainsworth. Thanks for watching another episode of APTV. For the first time, I've interviewed a couple, both business partners and life partners. So fiancés with 3 kids, and they run a business. So something that my wife and I would never even attempt to do, and you guys are doing it for a while, and you both smile and look happy, and this is real TV. Cobb Lane is a artisan bakery here in Melbourne with 3 shops and a wholesale business. Started from zero, renting a kitchen by the hour. That's how they got started. So it's a great story of starting from nothing to success, and the work and thought that got into it, and the mistakes along the ways or learning. So hope you enjoyed this episode, and thanks again. Can you set the record straight? What exactly is an artisan bakery? Because Cobb Lane is an artisan bakery, right?
Yeah.
What makes
correct.
you artisan?
I think it speaks to tradition, really. Where it's peeling it back to what our ancestors did. It's flour, water, salt. There's nothing complex about it. There's nothing complicated. But it takes people who know what they're doing, are skilled, have that intuition to be able to feel and read the bread and the dough and how it works, and be able to create something delicious.
So non-artisans make non-delicious food?
Not non-delicious, but it's not. There's no preservatives. There's no improvers. There's no fast tracking the process. It takes time, and you have to give it that time.
And it's about the craft as well. The actual craft.
Because particularly over COVID, all these bakeries became, or people, individuals, identified as artisans.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does that even mean? But the craft and the passion about it, and using the right understanding it and going back to your roots.
It doesn't have to be complicated. It's just simplifying it, I think.
How would you describe Cobb Lane though as a business?
I think in terms of a one-liner, we care about what we make, and we employ really talented people to realize that vision and be able to just create a really delicious experience. People I think, one of the things we talk to is savoring the moment. Take that 2 minutes of your day, whether it's making something or it's actually enjoying the final product. Just enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
Talking about staff, how do you manage to find staff and hold on to them? It seems to be a pretty big issue at the moment.
Yeah, it is. But at the same time, I think we're really lucky with who we have. We put a lot of time and effort into finding the right people, making sure that they fit in.
I think, and also having that diversity as well. I think hospitality traditionally is always going to be that really diverse backgrounds. We have people on working holiday visas. We have people who've migrated here permanently. We have people that were born in Australia. We have a really melting pot, and that brings interest to our menu as well. And it also brings differing opinions and perspective, I think, which is key for us. It's a really important part of our team and our ethos to have that together.
How many people does Cobb Lane employ?
Just over 70.
Wow. Do you ever get a call 2 in the morning, I'm not making it to work in 1 hour?
Yeah, we have delivery drivers that start at 2 a.m. So that's
And you ever get I have COVID today?
Yeah, we get it all.
Yeah,
we get it all.
How do you manage that at 2 o'clock in the morning?
My dog's sick.
Is that a common practice amongst artisan bakers?
It's not common, but it's been stubbed my toe.
I think
All
that's,
sorts.
And it can't bake now because my
Yeah.
toes are. What do you do?
Get up.
Get up and get going. I think we're in a better spot now where we sort of have, we have really great people in place that manage each of the teams that can that take care of a lot of that. Whereas, going back 5 years or so, it was mostly, it would be about getting to 2 o'clock call in the morning, and, you jump out and you do your deliveries, and then you jump into the kitchen and make pastries for a few hours, and then you get onto all the other background work that goes into
Running a small business.
Yeah. So I think we're in a nice spot now where we there's a bit of shared responsibility.
There's teams in place.
Yeah.
There's team leaders and.
How long did it take you to get to that spot where
Long
you?
time.
So you guys are 10 years old. How did this business start?
I started it on my own, just working out of a pay by the hour kitchen.
Pay by the hour kitchen.
Pay by the hour kitchen.
Right.
So you go in, you take everything that you need, you bring it all in, you get it all out, you set it all up, do your cooking, and then you pack it all back down into boxes, and then take it away again.
And you do that every day?
Do that 5 days a week.
Wow. Who are your customers?
I had to work. I had friends with cafes.
That helps.
And when we started, there was a lot of average on the market. So the whole idea was to have something shelf stable and delicious.
And at what stage did you be able to get your own kitchen?
It took about a year and a half.
So for a year and a half, you rent the kitchen by the hour?
Yeah.
You hear all these glamour stories, these big businesses, they're like, oh, they make it look so easy, but that sounds
No. It's,
And then
grinding.
you're doing everything, the delivery.
Yeah,
So sales, deliveries, bookkeeping, all that was...
Yep. And because we were small, we didn't have a huge amount of customers, we were just starting, I had to work around everybody else that used the pay by the hour kitchen. So there was businesses in there from, 9 to 5, and then I had to go in at 5, do all of my work from 5 till midnight, and then get up at 6 in the morning and go and do all my deliveries.
And just to do that all again the next day.
Yep.
That sounds like a real shit
I was
life.
doing that for 5 days. Yeah.
Were you at least making money?
That was probably the most profitable time in the history of the business.
Oh, there you go. There's a business plan.
Yeah. Because I wasn't paying anyone. It was just me.
So you were baking, you were doing everything.
Everything. Baking, delivering.
How do you function?
Look, I went from a job where I was working 16 to 18 hours a day. So,
In Australia, right?
Yeah.
So you're from England, you moved to Australia,
Yeah.
and then had enough and started your own business.
Yeah, exactly. So I went from working huge days, huge weeks,
Right.
to doing this. Yes, it was, the days were long and there was short sleep, but there were big gaps where I didn't do anything. So it actually felt reasonably easy. I don't want to sound cocky,
Too late.
but
That's unbelievable. Because people working in kitchens, they have a different work ethic than normal people.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
And going back 10 years, would you do it differently?
I don't know, it's difficult to say.
You can say that with hindsight.
Yeah,
With hindsight, what would you have
Yeah.
done differently if you knew what you know now?
yeah, I probably would in that case.
Rented an actual kitchen for more than an hour?
I don't know. It's all part of this story, though, isn't it? So, if
You have to test it before you know it's going to work.
yeah, and we started with nothing. We started with no money. There's no investors. Everything's been from what I've made and saved and earned, and
Unbelievable.
inheritance from my parents and from Lara's family as well. So. We've built it from zero.
Wow.
So from that perspective, no, I wouldn't want to change that. But from another perspective, it would have been good to have more money.
It always helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cobb Lane, you have 3 retail stores and a wholesale business. How interconnected is the wholesale and the retail, and can they work without each other?
They're independent, but they're entwined. Obviously,
That makes sense.
Wholesale, the wholesale's the sole, almost the sole supplier of the shops. So without that, the shops don't really have anything. But they're set up and they run independent.
So is it like a fashion retailer have an online store and an inline store? Is it kind of the same sort of principle?
Like they have an online store as well. But
Yeah.
And customers order online
they can, yeah.
for
It's not
pickup or for delivery?
for pickup.
Right.
Yeah.
Does that get used a lot?
It does for sort of special events.
Yeah,
Sure.
Mother's Days.
That makes sense. Cool. So Amy and Matt, you guys are engaged to be married, and you have 3 children, and you work together.
Yeah.
How do you guys run that? Like run what seems to be a productive family life and a productive business life? Like my wife wouldn't tolerate working with me, and
I think we've got very separate roles.
yeah,
In the business. Amy's takes care of the back end. I'm in the kitchen. I'm up the front. creatively, driving the day-to-day. And then Amy fixes everything I break.
Right, it's a full-time job.
Yeah.
And what do you do? Do you talk about work all the time?
More than I would like.
But do you have like no work at the dinner table type arrangements?
We don't generally talk about it at the dinner table. It depends what's going on. I think it's a natural part of having a business is that it's, especially that we run together, is that you're always going to have those things that there's going to be things that come up in the middle of the night, or those things that come up outside of hours that you have to address or you have to deal with at that point in time. But as we said, we've got 3 kids, so they take up a fair bit of our concentration and time when we're at home. So it does tend to steer the conversation more in their direction rather than, there's plenty to distract us when we're at home.
Any advice to any other couples watching this that work together? Don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it.
I think you have to have this, you've got to have boundaries, and I think having really clear roles within the business makes, if we were both stepping on each other's toes, both in the kitchen, I think that would be really counterproductive and confusing for, the team. Whereas I think because we do have very separate roles, I'm working with the HR, finance, that kind of thing, ops manager. Matt's really focused on that, our kitchen team and product development and those really creative outlets. And that's what he's an expert in, that's his specialty. So it makes sense for him to concentrate on that stuff. And then we sort of come together for more strategic conversations and that kind of stuff.
What's the biggest mistake you've made owning your own business in the last 10 years? Yeah, what's the biggest one that...
We don't make mistakes, we have learning opportunities.
Biggest learning opportunity you've had in 10 years?
Set boundaries.
With who?
For ourselves, for our private life. So making sure that we're putting time aside for holidays, special occasions, weekends, making sure we're free to pick up the kids and drop off the kids to school. I think that's really important.
Advice to anyone looking to own their own business or start their own business in hospitality?
I think, like we said before, set boundaries. Make it work for you.
Yeah.
Make the business work for you, because without you, you don't have a business.
And I think also set aside time to not just, it's so easy to get into the grind of the doing, of the actual doing in the business, especially in hospitality setting. It's carving out time to actually look at your business and how are you going to actually work on it rather than in it all the time, which is really easy thing to say but really hard to actually achieve, I think.
Yeah.
It's really good. What you said also really resonated, without you there is no business.
Yeah.
So make the business work for you, not you work for your business. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, and I think the responsibility as well of, we've got a team of 70 plus people relying on us to make sure that it's working. It has to be sustainable for both us personally, but also for the bigger picture as well. Because I don't think that responsibility isn't lost on us. It's a huge thing to think about.
So 10 years in, 3 stores and a wholesale business, what's the plans for the next 10 years?
I don't know, just keep going, keep growing, keep improving on what we've already done.
Here in Melbourne, or would you go interstate?
Well, wholesale, we've just started going interstate. Regional, so we're keeping it close, but the plan is to eventually grow it larger. A couple more shops would be good, 2 or 3 more shops. These things all take time. Like I said, we've never had any investment. We've never had anyone pump any money in that we haven't generated ourselves. So these things take a little bit longer.
Yeah, I think it's at the moment we're in this, I guess, a good spot where we have that diversity of both the wholesale and the retail.
Yeah.
And I think they both support each other. And obviously coming out of COVID, you sort of see the importance of having various revenue streams for a safety net for a start, but also out of interest as well. Our wholesale team, there's only so many plain croissants and white sourdough loaves that you want to make every day, whereas the retail stores give them that creative outlet to be able to, try new things, have monthly specials, do exciting sort of more product development kind of things, which keeps them engaged as well. I think Yeah.
Also
It
get
keeps it fun and interesting.
And get instant customer feedback if that was good, if that didn't
Exactly,
sell.
exactly. They
If
talk
something
to you
doesn't
right to
sell,
face.
it's a
Exactly.
pretty clear idea that this is not working.
Yeah.
And that works the other way as well, because if something works really well, so a special that we'll do in the shops, if it works really well, we'll then roll it out in wholesale as well. And the two generally go
Hand in hand.
hand in hand, yeah.
So your stores typically are near supermarkets?
No, not necessarily. So our Yarraville store is just off the side of our bakery, so off the warehouse building. So we only operate out 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday and Sunday.
Semi-industrial.
Yeah.
And that's a tiny little store.
It's a tiny little store, and it's very much like that hyper local demographic. You know, we've been in Yarraville the entirety of Cobb Lane, so 10 years. We've got a really amazing local following that, you know, if you put something on Instagram at 8 o'clock in the morning, they'll be there at 9 a.m. You know, they'll be ready to buy it. They're very invested and very engaged with what we do, which is amazing. And then South Melbourne Market is obviously a hub in itself. You know, you don't need to sort of talk about what that's like, but you know, there's the tourists, and then there's also the local community as well. And they all go. They care about what they're eating. It's the perfect demographic for our brand, for many other brands as well. And then here, obviously, sort of slightly different to that.
Richmond Trader.
Richmond Traders is a beautiful like hub of locals, but also obviously attached to a Coles. So supermarkets was, I don't think anything that we never set out to be part of a supermarket sort of footprint. But this Richmond Traders is obviously a bit of a different setting in that it's, you know, it's local businesses that are sort of attached to it.
According to Ibis report, there's 4,826 bakeries in Victoria, employing 38,026 people and doing $4.7 billion in revenue. How are you guys any different from those 4,826, assuming you're 3 of those 6 yourselves?
Yeah.
But is that a lot? Is that daunting numbers to hear?
Big numbers, definitely not what I would have picked or guessed.
Is there room for more?
I think there will constantly be that turnover, won't there?
Yeah, there's a huge scale there. There's the chain, big chain bakeries, through to the family-owned country town bakeries to you know, the artisanal style.
What does success look like in 5 years from right now? A 3:30 wake up?
No.
I don't mind it. I don't mind that structure. That's fine. It gets me out of bed. So, I think just continue going the way we're going.
At the same pace?
Yeah, I think we're probably going quite slow at the moment. So we could probably up the pace a little.
Yeah. I think we went through a period like post-COVID where it was like, you know, we opened South Melbourne Market, then we opened here in quick succession. It was a couple of months space of time. So there was a lot happened all at once, and now we're sort of settled into being able to consolidate and focus on things and be able to, you know, work on that product development stuff, be able to like work on our team, work on all the systems that go behind the scenes, so that we're in this really great position to be able to look at retail opportunities and new things that are coming up. But 5 years from now, I don't know. I think ideally it's either we can sort of step back a bit and things run themselves a little bit.
Sick over themselves, yeah.
Imagine a day where you could work from home.
I can't make bread from home.